Come. Oh, there we go. Hi, everybody. Let's see. And so, because I'm exactly 4 minutes behind schedule, I'm not going to wait any longer. We'll go ahead and get this party started. Nope, you didn't miss anything. I literally just logged on, so we're doing really good. And this evening, we're going to be down and dirty because my oldest daughter has her charming young boyfriend here, and I don't want to be rude.
Hi, family. Hi.
So, as we talk about nutrition, we're going to throw all the pizza boxes that we just ate away. And so, we'll kind of recap what we've talked about so far. So, what we've done so far is we've started tracking, right? We're just trying to get to know exactly what we eat and how much we consume in a day. Hopefully, we've started to make some substitutions where you're leaning more towards whole, healthier foods. And you're kind of aiming for your macros, but we're not really trying to hit them just yet. We're eating to hunger. We're not going into a deficit. We're not adding anything. And then hopefully everybody has slightly picked up their activity levels, whether that's, 15 minutes of walking 3 times a day, like usually just right after you eat, if you walk a little bit. So if you haven't done those things, or if it's been real hit or miss, please do not fret. We're not going to leave you behind. That's normal. This process, and I know that because we're doing it piece by piece, it seems like we're really taking the fucking long way home. And we are. And we're doing it on purpose because we're trying to establish habits so much as, so when you see the, lose whatever pounds in 30 days and these kind of crash diets, a lot of times what happens is people go on them and then they start this descent and then this rubber band happens and they snap back and they usually end up right at or above where they started and they haven't changed anything. And so, and then with what we're doing with the macros and tracking your food and doing these substitutions, and we're going to start talking about meal sizing and timing. If I threw all of that on you in one sitting, we just don't, life does not stop. The world is going to keep spinning, whether you're doing this or not. Like your kids are still going to need things. Your jobs are going to still have requirements. Like humans just don't have the bandwidth to do, like I was literally 20 minutes ago, I was cussing at my wife how I needed 5 more of me to get things done during the course of a day. And if I can figure out cloning, I'll let you guys know. But so if you haven't been super on point with your tracking, don't worry about it. If you haven't been super on point with swapping out your foods, don't worry about it. If you're way off on your macros, don't worry about it because we're not going to start manipulating your food just yet. So this next week, the next 7 to 10 days, we're going to start to focus on, we're going to try to work on meal sizes and meal timing. So when I'm talking about that, remember when we started this, consistency beats everything all the time. No matter what you're doing, if you are consistent, you will see results. So with a regular meal plan, like a regular meal timing, like every morning at this time you eat, at this time you have lunch, at this time is your snack. If you can get that to where it's just like clockwork, the likelihood of success goes way up. My wife happens to be one of the people that struggle with this. Like she's kind of,
whoa,
she does. She's kind of chaotic throughout her day. And she's like that with everything. Like it's not just her food. It's just, I once told her I've never met anybody who gets 75% things done more than her. My wife will do 75% of 80 projects in a day. And she's never quite gets over the finish line with a lot of them. And it's funny to me, but she's just kind of a whirlwind, and that transfers over to her eating. So there's days she doesn't eat at all. There's days she grazes all day. There's, it's just kind of all over the map.
Days when I eat 9 slices of pizza.
So if we can regiment this and we can snap down a little bit on eating every day at the same time, it helps a lot because mentally it helps you. And then it also prevents you know, you've gone all day, you haven't eaten anything, and you are starving to death, and you don't have anything ready, McDonald's, Carl's Jr., whatever is available is what you're going to eat. Because you're just like, nope, this will just have to do for today. So if we start working on, and I'm not saying you have to go all balls out and do, 8 weeks of pre-made meals. We'll get there eventually, but right now, just start with a couple. Like, okay, for the next week, I'm going to make my lunch every single day, and I'm going to eat that lunch at this time. And start working on getting a consistent eating pattern. And so, because especially as we do start to manipulate your calories, as we start to bring your calories down and bring your activity levels up, that's hard enough all on its own. And I don't care what your fitness level is. I don't care how long you've been doing it. When we start restricting your calories, it's a rough road for the first couple of weeks. It's not easy. So meal prepping and getting these foods ready ahead of time really takes out some of the guesswork, and it takes away some of the stress and bandwidth that goes along with it. As far as meal timing is not as, what's what I'm looking for? There's no physiological backing behind meal timing. So if you decided you wanted to eat all of your caloric intake in the day in one meal, you can do that. 100% you could do it. Where the smaller, more frequent meals come into play and where they're helpful is, one, they sustain your energy levels throughout the day. And
the Bluetooth device is connected successfully.
What happened?
It's not muted. You just keep going.
I just keep going?
Yeah.
Okay. And two, it's just mentally and physically easier on your body. But if for whatever reason you're one of those people that you just do not want breakfast, don't eat breakfast. We can spread your meals out throughout the day, where as long as it works for you is basically what I'm telling you. But through everything I've ever read and everything I've ever tried, 3 to 5 meals in a day is about the sweet spot. You know, you have a breakfast, a couple of snacks, lunch, and dinner. And then the other thing with meal timing in particular is everybody's a little bit different, and you know how you eat. So if you're one of those people that you wake up and first thing in the morning you're just famished, like you have to have breakfast, account for that. So me, as an example, I'm the opposite. I am dinner. And so I have to be very mindful about what I have for breakfast and lunch and those snacks. So basically, I bankroll my calories for dinner because I know I'm going to sit down and eat a good majority of my calories at dinner. And for whatever reason, in the evening, I tend to overeat. Like it's the way I want to do it. So if you know how that, and like Ashley is a grazer, like she just eats a bunch of little stuff throughout the day, and make it work for how you eat. You do not have to change that. If you would rather have a huge dinner and smaller meals, do that. And so usually the question that will come next with this is like, okay, so how do I spread my macros out over per meal? Usually the best way, especially if you're doing that 3 to 5 meals, 3 meals and 2 snacks throughout the day, is you try to keep your protein as consistent as possible. So you'll take your protein divided by 5 and you'll try to set it in there. And then with your carbs and your fats, really, you can do it however you want. You can kind of, if you want to do them evenly, do them evenly. The only thing I would recommend is save your fats towards later in the evening, your last meal, because usually your last meal, a couple hours you go to bed, fats take a lot longer to digest, and there's a satiating effect with fats. And so you won't be as hungry throughout the evening and all that good stuff. Oh, and you want to keep your fats away from your workouts because you can get the herpes kind of vomity a little bit.
You want to cover for them just real fast on what the fats carbs and protein should be? I know you covered it last call, but you told everybody not to worry about it last call, so maybe you want to cover it this call.
Oh yeah, so your proteins, you're going to want to shoot for 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And then I know, because we printed out some of the questions, some of the questions are relating to like they're having trouble hitting that number. That's okay. You can move that down to like 0.7. And we can look at, because one of the ones, and I'll have to find it, but when I was looking at her fats, carbs, and proteins, and she was saying she was having trouble hitting the proteins and balancing out the calories, it's because her calories are way too low. And so that's like, you have a lot of room there to eat. And then with your fats, we want to start at about 0.5 grams per pound of body weight. And then the lowest that you want to go is about 0.3. And then your carbs will fill in the rest of the gap. Whatever's left over, you get to have that in carbs. But carbs and fats are almost interchangeable. Like if you want to have a higher fat diet, if that just works better for you, I know there's some people that love fats. If you want to shave some of your carbs and inner fats, do it. As long as you're staying within the macros that we've set, you can do whatever you want. My daughter, for example, who's sitting right across, she loves carbs quite a bit. So we would probably shave her fats down to that 0.4, 0.3 mark so she could have more of them. So let's see. Trying to get more protein. So eggs for breakfast, protein shake mid-lunch. That's perfect. Dinners were good, but my fats keep coming in high. I'm unsure of things I should cut to lessen. That seems to be coming from the meat proteins and maybe plant-based protein. You could try a plant-based protein. I have been unable to find one that I find palatable. The fermented pea proteins, like they work, they're great as far as bioavailability. But as finding one that's palatable to me is tough. Like if you do, let me know. Let's see. Tracks most of the time. Okay, so from that question, this person tracks most of the time, 1,600 calories a day. The weight is 249, and then the protein is, okay, so that's, yeah, the protein's real low. Your calories are really, really low too.
Because it's based on weight. Calories are based on weight?
Yes, they should be. So because we're going to start manipulating calories here in the next week. So right now you don't have to worry about manipulating anything. Just try to start getting a regular meal plan again, because we're taking little tiny baby steps. So when we do start manipulating the calories, everything will be autopilot. Like you'll already be doing all of it. We'll just change some of the food that you eat, or essentially not even the food you're eating, but just the quantities. Let's see here. Trying to get more protein. Eggs for breakfast, protein shake, dinners. My fats keep coming in high. I'm unsure of things to come. So if this is your question, would you do me a favor and screenshot the last day that you tracked so I can see what it is you're eating? Because I can't really answer that question without seeing what it is you're consuming, because I can tell you where to shave some fat, but without seeing what you're actually consuming, I wouldn't know. And at 1,600, again, we're not going to manipulate calories yet, so don't do anything. But the person that asked this question, you should be at almost 2,400 calories, and you're at 16. So we need to bring that up, and then we'll bring it back down. So what happens is when you run at a really low caloric state, it's called adaptive thermogenesis. Your metabolism slows down. The other thing that stops happening that you have no control over whatsoever is something called NEAT, which is non-exercise associated thermogenesis. So like when you wipe down the counter, you scratch your head, you walk across the parking lot, these are all non-exercise associated things that are burning calories. Well, when you run into a deficit subconsciously, you have no control of it. Your brain shuts that shit off. Like when you're like, hey, I should go over there and get a drink of water, and your brain's like, nah, we're good right here. And you'll find that you feel sluggish and you don't feel you just don't feel energetic. And, those are the people that you hear them say, like, I just don't have the energy to work out, or I don't have the energy to do these things. More than likely, they're just not eating enough. And they've been wired to think, to lose weight, I have to eat less. Well, that's partly true, but just like with anything inside of nutrition or any sort of physical fitness, it's wildly nuanced. So, but screenshot that, send it to Ashley, and then we'll look at it, and then I'll message you what I think. And then, so the next one is fat loss with muscle definition question. Yes, you lose fat, you will see muscle definition. 5 years ago, I was in the best shape I ever was. I was 130 pounds, and I could start to see a lot of muscle definition. I was lifting heavy weights 5 days a week and doing cardio 5 to 6 days a week. That's awesome. Not sure if just working fat loss will also show muscle definition. So fat loss is the only thing that shows muscle definition. You can have all the muscle in the world, and if you're hanging out at like 25, 30% body fat, nobody's going to see it ever. I don't know. I'm sure everybody's seen it on the internet, the phrase that like abs are made in the kitchen, not in the gym. That is 100% true. You could never do a crunch in your entire life. And with your food, you could manipulate your body fat to where you would have just an 8-pack all over the place, because the muscle's there. The muscle exists. What happens is there's just a layer of fat covering it up. So, but yes, 100% fat loss will show muscle definition. Now I'm starting to get back. I was just kind of stuck. And then back then, all I ate was grilled chicken, vegetables, and fruits. I literally did not cheat for over a year. You're the most gangster person I've ever heard of. That's impressive. Like, that's a level of discipline that is wildly rare. Like, you just don't see people doing that very often. And even throughout this kind of, I guess, for lack of a better word, program that we're going through, we're going to do it in 12-week bouts. So we'll go 12 weeks where we cut, and then we'll have 12 weeks of like a maintenance phase where we'll bring your calories a little back up a little bit. You can have some ice cream. You can go have pizza with your kids. And like, we won't go crazy. We're not going to go completely off the rails, but we'll go from just, and I'm just making these numbers up, but let's say we take you down to 2,000 calories. Well, during that maintenance phase, we're going to get back to like 23 to 2,500, and then we'll go again. Because you can't just go down. There has to be some plateaus and there has to be some peaks and valleys, because if you just go down, your body will crash, mentally you'll crash, like you just won't have the will to fucking do it. Like, you'll just tap out. So for you to go a year of doing that is like, my hat is off to you. That is gangster. It seems I'm having an issue getting the 150 grams of protein. I'm just so full. And you've broken it down into 6 meals. That's perfect. So yes, if you're having trouble getting some of the macros, usually the best way is to break it down into smaller meals throughout the day. And if you're still struck, that's okay. Like, don't stress it, because we can bring that. Let's see. It says body weight's 152 and protein's 100. So if we took you down from 1 gram per pound to 0.7, which is still well within, so think of it as 1 gram per pound of body weight is optimal. Think of that as like the best you can do. Well, ain't any one of us going to get on stage in a little bikini hammock anytime soon, half naked, showing our muscle. You know what I mean? Like, so that's optimal. To bring you down to 0.7 would put your protein at 106, and you're already eating 100. So we get you 6 more grams. Like, yep. So eat a yogurt. Like, literally add 1 yogurt to what you're doing, and you're now hitting your macros. No, whoever this is, you're doing awesome. Like, that looks really good. And no, the grilled chicken, vegetables, and fruit for a whole year. No, we definitely don't get down like that around here.
They know.
As I've got pizza smell in my mustache right now. All right, so
Wait, let's go back to her workouts. She was lifting heavy 5 days a week, cardio 5 to 6 days a week. Is that something that's maintainable? Is that something? Go
so
back on the
that's
cardio.
that's also very.
Do people have to do cardio and lift
That's
weights?
also very, very gangster. The 5 days a week of lifting and 5 to 6 days a week of like how your joints put up with all that is bananas. So again, when we're talking about optimal would be lifting weights, some sort of resistance training, somewhere between the 4 to 5 days a week. And then you only have to do cardio, especially if you're walking every single day. For fat loss, cardio doesn't, that's not true exactly. You can obtain the same amount of fat loss by walking that you can by running with the food. Like, so when we start bringing your calories down, as long as you're think of it this way: weight training and nutrition is what changes your body composition, the way you look. Cardio improves your work capacity. So if you're doing, 3-mile runs or whatever it is, you're biking, you're swimming, obviously you're getting better while you're doing those things. You're getting better at swimming. And the calorie expenditure that you're using to do the swimming helps with the fat loss, but it is not the act of swimming. When you're swimming, what's actually being developed is your ability to swim, and 2, your heart, how efficient your heart and your lungs are. So always think of food, weights, body composition, the way you look, cardio, work capacity. That's how it, just real broad stroke to look at it. So you can do cardio. Usually if you do a 60-40 split, like 60% of your time is in some sort of resistance training. And it doesn't have to be in a weight room with weights. Some people, their fitness levels are different. If you squat to sit on the couch and stand back up 10 times and your quads start to hurt, that's all you need. That's the only resistance you need. And obviously there's going to be people out there that they're going to need the weight resistance or the training. But if you can mess around with that, so think about it this way: your muscles cannot count. They don't know the difference between, they only understand stress and adaptation. So if you do a set of walking lunges across your living room and your legs are on fire, that you're doing more than enough, because you're causing a stress inside of those muscles to affect adaptation. Your muscles will go, oh shit, I need more of me to do this. So you don't absolutely have to go to a weight room yet, depending on where your fitness level is. Whoever this lady is that was doing 5 days a week of weights and 6 days, you're gonna have to go back to the weights. You're not gonna be able to do it with that baseline. It's gonna take you roughly, even if you went completely off the rails, it'll take you, if you did that for a year, it'll take you roughly 3 to 4 weeks for your body, that muscle memory, your body will snap back fast. So really, we get your food in order.
That much cardio isn't necessary.
No, that much cardio isn't necessary unless she likes doing it.
Yeah.
And again, do what you like. If you want to dance, fucking dance. As long as you're moving and doing something, I don't care what it is. As long as that calorie expenditure goes up and we start bringing the calorie intake down, the fat is going to go away. The weights, what they help the most with is the way you look. So you get on Google or whatever search engine you use and you type in because everybody that's in this thing right now is female. So we'll use a female marathon runner. And you look at that body type. If that's what you like, if that's something that appeals to you and that's what you're going for, then run. If that is not what you like, well, then Google female sprinters and look at that body type. Not that we'll reach that level of athleticism, but the training is wildly different. And so you don't need cardio to lose weight at all. We do it with food, manipulation, and calorie expenditure. However you expend those calories is entirely up to you. If you want to swim, swim. You like rollerblading, rollerblade. Whatever it is. But if you are looking for a certain look, weights is the only way to get there.
And if you want to add muscle, weights.
Yeah, and adding muscle helps a lot with the calorie expenditure, because the more muscle you carry around, the more calories you burn. Just sitting there breathing, the more muscle you carry around, the more calories you burn. And I like carrying around a lot of muscle because I like to eat. So the more muscle I carry, the more food I can have. Let's see here. Calories needed to lose fat and build muscle. That's exactly what we're doing. I would like to go on a deficit, but I'm realizing it's not ideal for the body type I desire. So we are going to go into a deficit. And I'm assuming with the calories to build muscle, I'm assuming we want to build muscle here. We are going to go into a deficit, but it's going to be slight. So we're going to shave like 200 to 300 calories every couple of weeks while we're going through this. And that's just going to burn fat. So usually the target is, the rule of thumb is we look for about a pound of weight loss per week. And if you stay inside of that, 99% of the time, that's your burning fat. It's when you start getting over that pound, and even 2 pounds a week is still pretty much mostly body fat. But if you're in like a 3 pound, 4 pound a week drop, then you're starting to lose muscle and connective tissue and fat. Like there's a whole, the muscle retention isn't there. But yes, that is exactly 100% exactly what we're going to do here. And let's see. And this is the last one. I want to build up our muscle in particular. I don't really know if I want to lose more fat or not, though I wouldn't want to go down pounds overall. We can do that too. With the manipulation of food and weight training, we can make your body weight go up and your body fat go down. It's harder to do, but it is doable. Goal is getting calories back up and protein back up. Oh, okay. I still don't really understand macros. I need to know more protein. I know I need more protein and calories. Yes, you do. 800 calories at 100, that's pretty low. So for you, like, yes, we need to worry about your protein, but for right now, I want your main, who is it? Oh, hello, Tracy. This is Tracy's question. And Tracy, I've tried to stay away from saying names, but this is actually really important. So I want you to know that I'm talking to you. I know that the protein is important, and I know that we've hit on that being the most important. But right now, I would like you to focus on getting your fats up. We can get your calories up just by adding some more fats, because your calories are really low. But because your fats are in the 30s to 50s, so for your body weight, 42 to 45 is about as low as you can go. And then it starts to affect hormones and sleep. There's a lot of, we could do a whole class on what fats do. So I know that we've kind of dismissed fats in the conversations till now, and they're interchangeable with carbs and stuff like that. But they do get really important at that lower threshold, because they do quite a bit for us. So I wouldn't worry so much about your protein yet. I'd pick up those fats just a little bit. If you could, because it says between 30 and 50, if you could hang out around that 50 range, that would be perfect. Let's see. Let's see if I can get the calories and proteins, but honestly, it's so hard to get the protein. Yes. So generally, protein is always tough to get in. It is a constant struggle. So you can look at like protein supplementation. And so like you go to the nutrition store, or you can order it online. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it at Costco. And we could do a whole class on finding good protein sources and protein supplements. So, but just the basic rule of thumb, just to keep it super simple, when you look at the back and you look at how many calories are in it per serving, well, I don't know that they'd be able to see it, but sure. If you look at the calories per serving, and then you look at the grams of protein per serving, the best you're going to do is about 100 calories per 25 grams of protein. And so the problem with those is the same with the vegan proteins, is palatability. So if you can find one you like, because that's almost when you see it and it's 100 calories per serving and it's 25 grams of protein, that's about the purest protein you're going to find. Sometimes that leaves a little lacking in taste. If the taste doesn't matter to you and you're just willing to get it down, that's the one you go with. Then you'll start to get into like the 120s, the 130s for calorie count, 120, 130 grams per serving. And there's roughly the same, that 25 to 26 grams of protein. Those are still good. Those are good sources. They're pretty clean and they tend to taste a little better. When you find the ones that are hanging around the 180 calories per 25 grams of protein, it's Taco Bell in a powder form. It's trash. Leave it alone. It'll taste real good, but it's not what we want. So that would be one way to do it. Egg whites is another, where you can make your breakfast, whatever you normally make your breakfast, if it's 2 eggs or whatever, add a couple of egg whites. It will not add a whole lot to the volume of what you're eating, so you won't feel super stuffed. And it won't add a lot of calories at all, but it will pick your protein up. Greek yogurts, cottage cheese, those are casein proteins, which are slow digesting, but they're still really good. And people seem to be able to put away some yogurt. So,
are you talking about you?
I'm talking about my wife.
Oh, whoa.
Eggs and cheese. So yeah, just add yogurt to that and a protein supplement. I don't ever really want a ton of chicken or ground meat, steak or fish. Okay. Yeah.
Lamb.
Yeah, try lamb. A goat. I don't eat beans. So yeah, so I would do a protein supplement and some yogurt. I would add those. Tracking can become obsessive for me in a very negative way, which is why I only do a few days here and there. Any tips on how to track without becoming obsessive? Or is there any way around tracking? Yeah, you could do the tracking just once. And so this would kind of limit the variety in what you eat. But if you came up with a game plan, like, hey, if I eat this for breakfast, so this is what I do. I have the exact same breakfast, the exact same snacks, and the exact same lunch every single day. And then I know what calories I have left over. I typically don't track dinner because I work in Taft. I have no idea what Ashley's going to make for dinner. There's no way for me to account for it. And a lot of times it's spaghetti or chili or something where there's a lot of ingredients involved. And I'm not going to ask her like, hey, how much tomato paste did you put in here so I can track it? But I know exactly what I have a majority of my day, and then I leave quite a bit of calories for the end. So I can kind of eyeball and go, okay, that's roughly 5 ounces of meat. Like I kind of guesstimate what I'm doing for dinner. That could be something that might work for you. Or the other option is, and I would have to reread it. So there was a guy that came out with this. It was like the rule of threes, and I'll find it and reread it. But it was basically, if you look at your plate, you split it into thirds, and a third of it is some sort of lean protein source. Then a third of it and a little extra was some sort of coniferous vegetable, like a broccoli, a cauliflower, whatever. And then that smaller third, like, so he would take the third and he would just kind of bounce it over a little bit and do that with the vegetables. And then the smaller portion would be a starchy carb, like a rice, potatoes, whatever. I know that has worked for people. It does not work for me because I will just keep eating.
Starchy carbs.
Yeah, I'll have 3x3s, 3 plates of 3s, and then I just go off the rails. So that's one way.
I just track protein.
The reason I recommend the tracking is because it is the thing that I have seen work the best over the biggest group of people consistently. And so it's just data in, and I don't really know what you mean by obsess in a negative way, and I can't really speak to that, but I guess what I'm trying to convey to you is the positive sides are, as we go down the line and we start building activity and we start restricting calories, and you have a week that kind of gets wonky, you can go back and look and you know exactly what you did, and it makes it repeatable. So if you kind of wing it and you just kind of like, I'm kind of winging it here and there, if you have a couple of weeks that go really sideways, it's hard to go back and look and go, okay, I see what went wrong. And then sometimes it's hard to course correct, and then you'll just give up altogether. Like, I'm definitely not going to force you into tracking at all. I'm sure there's plenty of ways we can come up with to meet the same exact goal. I'll just have to really look into it, because I read that article like 5 years ago. But I bet you I can find something and we can figure it out. And I think, is that it?
Yeah, that was the majority of people that were tracking.
Yeah, awesome. All right, guys, I hope that helps. So just a little tiny recap. All we're going to start doing this next week is we're gonna start trying to have consistent meal times. That's it. Whether that's, you make your breakfast or you make your lunch the night before, we're gonna have some sort of consistency with our meal timing and meal sizing. Oh, I didn't even see this.
I didn't see that either. There's a chat.
Oh, hello. Okay. There's a chat that I am missing here. Okay. Hello. Did I miss anything? Nope. Nobody missed anything. Hi, everyone. It's hard. Is that the same with HIT? HIT is fantastic. So HIT, as along with, for those of you that are unfamiliar with the word HIT, it is an acronym for high intensity interval training. HIT is fantastic for your VO2 max. Again, work capacity. HIT, there's nothing better for work capacity than HIT. You also burn a ton of calories during HITs, but the HIT is very similar to fasted cardio, where they tell you it burns more fat. That is incorrect. Well, it's a half truth. So with HIT and fasted cardio, there's two mechanisms that come with burning fat. One is lipolysis, where your body breaks down the fat and puts it into your bloodstream to be used as energy. The next step is oxidation, where you actually burn the fat as energy. HIT and fasted cardio both create a higher lipolysis. There's more fat in your bloodstream to be used, but that does not mean you're burning it. So, but yeah, HIT is awesome. I like HIT. You can definitely do that. You can definitely incorporate it. My FitnessPal, after adding in my workouts from my watch, tells me I need to eat 500 to 800 more calories a day. Yeah, it's definitely not a problem, especially on the days where you're really active. If you're 800 calories short, you definitely want to make that up. So generally, I gauge it off of 1, how I feel, 2, what I've done, and 3, what it's saying my calories are at. So if it says like, hey, I'm 200 short, 300 short, I just ignore it. I eat what I was going to eat for that day, because again, it's the consistency that matters. So what we're looking for is not just the calories winning for the day, it's the week. This is the other reason I like tracking so much, is let's say you have a day where you just kind of go off the rails and you have some ice cream after dinner, or you guys go out and, you go a little ham at Red Lobster with the Admiral platter or whatever. That's okay, because when we've taken away 200 to 300 calories per day, at the end of the week, you've got 1,800 calories to kind of play around with. So if you have a day that's not so great, it's not a big deal. You just keep on pushing, and it all comes out in the wash. There's days where like you just want to have some ice cream. There's days where that milkshake is just going to get fucking eaten, no matter what you say or do. You just got to have it. So Tracy, you can totally call me out anytime. Excellent, I will. Let's see. Found 160 calories, 30 grams of protein. No, that's pretty good. That one, it'll actually taste pretty good. When you're just remember, the higher the calorie count, the better it's going to taste.
Tell them to watch out for the things like muscle milks. Remember what you told me, and you're like, don't drink that.
Yeah, no, I already told them. Okay. Yeah. I do the same. I eat the same small meals during the day. Yep, save calories for dinner. I've been tracking my meals. Oh, perfect. Then this is going to be super easy for you, Miss Romero. If you've been tracking for a couple of years, like I could probably send you the rest, because really we're just trying to build the habit, is why we're taking it so slow, step by step. But we could start messing with your stuff now because it's already just kind of ingrained. That's literally what we're trying to do, is ingrain it to where it's kind of a habit for everybody. Let's see. She said, now I want a Cheddar Bay biscuit. Well, you've got the room. You could, yeah, go have one. I have 1,500 calories in a day. Is that okay? Mr. Romero, I'd have to know your body weight to tell you if that's okay. So, or actually you can just do it yourself. So the general figure is you'll take your body weight, whatever that is, you'll take that number and you'll multiply it. So if you're relatively sedentary, if you don't do a whole lot throughout the day, you'll multiply that number by 10 to 11. If you're moderately active, you do your body weight times 12 to 14. And if you're excessively active, like really, if you're this
like the 5 times
monster,
if you're the 6 day week
this
cardio
monster that was lifting 6 days a week and running 6 days a week, this phenom, then okay, so more sedentary, then you would take your body weight and then you would times it by, we'll shoot the middle and say 11, and that's about where you should be. And if you're not, don't worry about it. We don't have to, I don't want you to just wake up tomorrow and feel like you have to start stuffing yourself to reach that number, because again, we're not messing with our calories yet. We're just eating to hunger. We're eating what we normally eat. The only thing we're going to do this go around is we're going to start having consistent meal times and consistent meal sizes. And you'll aim for what you've been eating, and we'll try to get that 0.7 to 1 gram of protein a day. We're definitely going to get our 0.5 grams of fat, and then we'll fill the rest in with carbs. If you get there, great. If you don't worry. Just keep pecking away at it. This portion, learning how to do this, can literally take months. So that this isn't homework. This is just to help you get on the right track and start developing these habits. If we get there next week and you're like, nope, I didn't do shit, that's okay. We can just keep pecking away at it until we get there. All right, you guys, thank you so much. I'm going to get off here and visit with my family. Thank you guys for coming, and I'll talk to you guys next week.